Hello everyone, welcome to Promine's Tip of the Week. This week we'll be going over a continuation of last week's tip, which was going over block editors. In this week, we are going to do a dynamic block. We're going to go over the creation of a dynamic block. And starting off, you just create a normal block, a standard block through the block editor. So you go to create block here in the insert tab. And then what you do is you can select your base point. So in this case, we'll select this to be our base point. We'll give it a name. So door dynamic block. And then for the objects, you can specify them on screen. You can select them if you press on this button here. Select objects. And then select all the objects that are going to be part of your block. Now, the next thing you can do is you can play with the behavior, annotative or scale uniformly. I'm just going to leave it to the standard. Once you press OK, it's going to open up in the dynamic block editor. Now, what you're going to do here is you're going to start with parameters. You're going to set up a linear parameter, which is going to be just a dimension. And that dimension is going to be what you use to associate all your other dynamic actions, because they're going to be based on the distance between here and here, which is the width of the door. Now, if we close this block editor, I'm going to open a different block, which I've already created, and I'm going to show you the actions associated with this block. So once you're done with setting up the distance parameter, everything else is going to be associated with that distance parameter. So starting off, I've already created a stretch command. So the stretch command, you go here. On the left, you'll have all your block authoring palettes. Once you press on stretch, it'll ask you for a parameter. Select the distance parameter and then select the block over here. So 1, and then we'll select this area. You create a box and select this part. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to create another scale for your arc associated with the distance. And finally, you're going to create another stretch with this part of the door and again back to the distance. Now, the final part that's a little tricky is going to be, if I go into this stretch action, if you press on properties, it will bring up the properties of that stretch action. It won't bring up the properties as you're used to in the model space. And the angle offset here, depending on your AutoCAD UCS, it's either going to be 0 or 90, because otherwise what's going to happen is that this part of the block, this part here, is going to be stretched in the wrong direction if you don't edit that specific property and override the angle to be either 0 or 90. So let's test out this block that we've created and see how it behaves once we stretch it. So if you press on the block, you'll see the little triangle on the right side, and then if you stretch it out, it seems like I've made a mistake with my distances, but basically you get the idea on how the block is supposed to behave with this specific action, and you can now create your own custom dynamic blocks. So that concludes this week's continuation of the tip. If you have any questions or suggestions, please send them to us through the comment section below. Thank you for watching.